ウェロ水泳人口ヤッホースーパーお父さんです。
Hey fellow swimmers, welcome to Swimming for Health. SuperDad here. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Let's dive into today's lesson. Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of the timing of our arms and legs for butterfly. As mentioned last time, we have 2 volunteers from our online swimming club to swim for us. They'll be demonstrating for us. They are intermediate to advanced practitioners. Today will be a continuation of observing the arms after the butterfly recovery re-entering the water and ensuring there's an adequate gap between that recovery, the re-entry of the arms, and your first kick. The reason this is so fundamental is we're making sure that when there is a gap between the hands entering the water and the first kick, doing it with an adequate gap is going to ensure that the hips rise to the top of the water, which gets the body in the right alignment and placement to allow gravity to help pull your body forward in the water as well. So rather than just relying on your muscles and that sort of strength, using your body weight to help propel you through the water too. This is our first swimmer for today, but our third swimmer in total, including that previous video. Again, that timing has incredible importance. Compared to the previous 2 swimmers, we can see quite clearly that there's an obvious gap between the arms entering the water and the kick. As it happens, you may notice that the bottom's raising. Now, to be clear with this, it's not that the bottom alone is raising, but the hips are raising as well. If you try to consciously raise your bottom, what's going to happen is you will end up with an anterior pelvic tilt. That is where you tilt your bottom backwards and you end up with an arched back. That isn't exactly what we want because it'll give the impression that the bottom's raised. However, we want the hips to rise. As that's happening, remember, we do want your body streamlined. We do want that core nice and tight. We don't want anterior pelvic tilt. We want the body nice and flat. We want that natural flotation of the hips, which occurs after the sufficient gap between the arms re-entering the water and the kick. Again, you don't need to remember all the specifics. Just make sure the arms re-enter the water first, then kick, and you'll see that the hips raise naturally. Ready? Arms in first, kick, and there's the hips raising. It's not the case that the more the hips raise out of the water, the better. But if the hips don't raise at all, that is a problem. Now, this individual is breathing every single time, in between every stroke. However, every time the head is going back in between the arms and the bottom is raising, the hips are raising, and this is evidence that this individual is doing really good practice. And this is something that can't occur if the timing of the kick is out. So please be careful, be mindful as you practice. We have the next swimmer up for you. This individual is also competing in Masters. I've asked him very kindly to swim a little bit slower because it is difficult for us to take video of him while he is swimming. So it may look like he is a bit uncomfortable, but he really is quite skilled. You'll notice the arms come first, kick, arms come first and kick. He is really quite quick at returning his arms back to the front. So in that blink of an eye, it may not look like there's a difference between his arms re-entering and the kick, but when we do look at it in slow motion, it should be more obvious. There will be a difference between the arms entering and the kick. For everyone, that underwater swimming is also, viewable, so it does make it a little bit easier to see. But the individuals that are doing it, that have the delay between the arms and the legs, you will be able to see it as we slow it down. You'll be able to see them sort of glide quite gently through the water. Arms first, there's the kick. His bottom went quite high, so the gravity is going to help. That transfer of weight is going to help pull him forward. It should, a bit of an image like you're going down a slippery slide. Now, if this was a competition, he would have been disqualified because his bottom and feet, everything, his entire body is underwater. But if your goal with your practice is to get a feel for gravity pulling you forward and having a proper delay between your arms and legs to let momentum pull you forward, I think that's completely fine. Okay, this is me. So I really do think it is a good thing to practice in between your butterfly dives. It is important to be conscious and to feel the force of gravity helping pull you through the water. I do have a memory of one of my coaches pointing out that I was too relaxedly swimming through the water, and he did hit me over the head and telling me to work harder. But I do feel relaxedly swimming through the water is a good thing. All right, let's have a look at my timing. This time, without diving too deep in between the butterfly strokes, I swim. It might be good to see when I start my stroke. It'll be interesting to see where I start my first stroke from as well. I'll probably do my first stroke while I'm underwater. Rise up to the surface. Start my strokes from when I'm relatively deep underwater. Then once my arms go forward, I'll kick. There's a relatively good sort of downhill sort of slope with my body there too, which is great for gravity's pull to help propel me forward. Now there are some people that while they're recovering, they bend their knees too much. So while you're doing your recovery, while you're moving your arms forward, try not to bend your knees too much. And if you can hold it back, quite naturally you won't kick your legs back too far. Once the arms go forward, hold it for a moment. I know you want to bend your knees, don't, and then kick. Arms forward, hold the bend in your knees, then kick. And that's the main point for today. That was the timing for our legs and arms in butterfly. Now, even if your other parts of your butterfly aren't necessarily perfect, as long as you start to get that timing right, doing butterfly will become a lot easier. So definitely prioritize this and do your best to correct it. That's everything for today.
お父さんでした。バイバイ。
See you next time.